podcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is TWiT.
Hi, this is Leo Laporte, and this is my Tech Guy podcast. This show originally aired in the Premier Networks on Saturday, December 19th, 2020. This is episode 1755. Enjoy. The Tech Guy podcast comes to you from TWiT's LastPass studios. Now, you're focused on security, but are your employees? LastPass can ensure they are by making access and authentication seamless, whether employees are working in the office or remotely. Visit lastpass.com/twit to learn more. This episode of The Tech Guy is brought to you by ExpressVPN. ExpressVPN is the world's #1 rated VPN by CNET, Wired, and The Verge. For 3 extra months free with a 1-year package, go to expressvpn.com/techguy. Well, hey, how are you today? Happy holidays. Leo Laporte here, the Tech Guy. Yeah, that's right. It means that, you know what that means. It means it's time to talk computers and the internet and home theater and digital photography and smartphones and smart watches and all that jazz, all the gadgets and the gimcrackery and all that stuff that populates our world these days. 8888 Ask Leo is my phone number if you want to talk about high tech. I'd love to talk about high tech with you. I would indeed. 888-827-5536. That's toll free from anywhere in the U.S. or Canada. Outside that area, you still want to call that number, but you'd have to use Skype out or something like that to reach me. You just put a little credit on your Skype account and you can call regular phones. 888-827-5536. And the beauty of it is it's not going to cost you anything because it's toll free. I don't think it should cost you anything, even if it's an international call. Website. We put a website up just so that you don't have to write things down as you hear the show. You could just say, oh, yeah. It's all going to be there at techguylabs.com. I don't have to worry about it. So James DeRuvo, we have a professional scribe. That's his job. He's our professional scribe. He writes everything down. Even what I'm saying right now, he's going to write it down. Right, James? Right. And then he'll put it up on the website, so you don't have to remember anything. You don't have to write anything down as you're out and about. Just go to techguylabs.com. There's no charge, no sign up. It's there for your enjoyment. So the big story of the week, and probably I'm going to say it's going to end up being the big story of the year. And it's a little hard because you don't expect mainstream media to really cover these kinds of stories, at least not in depth. So I think I shall explain it a little bit more to you, is this massive hack of the United States government. Not just the U.S. government, but also local governments, government agencies, the city of Austin, Texas, many localities. We don't even know. To be honest, we don't even know how far this goes, and we probably wouldn't know about it at this point. There were rumblings. There have been rumblings going on for some time, but we probably wouldn't know about it if they hadn't reached a little too far. Who's they? Don't know. Always hard with the hacking to know. But the Secretary of State, Mike Pompeo, says it's likely Russia. There have been a number of unnamed sources who've said, oh, yeah, it's definitely Russia. And it has all the markings of the Russian hacking group Fancy Bear, which is such a cuddly name for such an evil group. They probably overreached a couple of weeks ago when they attacked a security company called FireEye and stole some of FireEye's exploits. You've listened to the show, you know the word exploits. Those are the hacks. Those are the little bits of code that get into stuff. And FireEye, which sells these exploits to governments and companies, mostly for fixing, but sometimes for using, some of their tools leaked out. That's bad. That's happened before. The NSA, the National Security Agency, lost some of its most powerful tools a few years ago. When those leak out, then the bad guys get them and the bad guys use them. But because of that, we then learned about a much more significant hack that, well, this came out a week ago, last Sunday, and now as the week has gone by, we've learned more and more. This SolarWinds is probably the name you've heard, SolarWinds hack. SolarWinds is a company that makes software for big businesses and governments. It's network management software, in some cases security software. And this is very widely used, and it is often something we call whitelisted. See, this is why they don't talk about this in the mainstream news as much, because it's a little complicated. But you know maybe the word whitelisted. Security software, your antivirus software and other security software, is told, let SolarWinds do whatever it wants because it's network management and security software. This is the point. It's presumed to be trustworthy. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Now you can kind of see the problem here. More modern security folk use something, what they call zero trust. No one's trusted. Even if they're inside the network, they're not to be trusted. Everybody has to verify constantly. You probably experienced that sometimes. Maybe it's a little annoying when your phone asks you for your password one too many times. Zero trust architectures, pioneered by Google but used widely in places that are hyper secure, mean that nobody gets whitelisted. Everybody has to prove that they're safe. Unfortunately, SolarWinds was being used by the Commerce Department, the Treasury Department, maybe more significantly by the Department of Energy, who manage our nuclear weapons and our nuclear arsenal, and also our nuclear stores. Department of Homeland Security, you'd think they'd know better. State Department, National Institute of Health, and the list continues to grow. All use this SolarWinds software. It's called Orion. And back in March, I'm going to say the Russians, but I'm going to say this with a little tiny, footnote that we're pretty sure it's the Russians, but it's always hard to attribute hacking attacks. Pretty sure it's the Russians, has all the fingerprints of a Russian operation, according to the people who have seen the details. Details I have not seen, most have not seen, because as you might imagine, government agencies are putting the lid on this. This is embarrassing. But in March, SolarWinds got hacked themselves without their knowledge, and Russia did something very interesting. You know that we get updates regularly, right? Microsoft sends updates to Windows, Apple sends updates to Mac and iOS, and Google sends updates to Android. We get these regularly, and you've heard me preach, update, update, update. Whenever you get an update, that means there's a flaw that they found and you've got to fix it. Well, the same thing happens with enterprise security and management software like SolarWinds Orion. But the bad guys were very clever. They took the update that was about to be pushed out and they modified it. They didn't. They changed it in a very clever way. This is one of the reasons we know this is not your everyday bozo hacker down the street. This is somebody pretty sophisticated, and what they call a nation-state hacker, somebody with high skills. They took that file. It was a DLL file, and they modified it in such a way that it continued to do everything it was supposed to do. It looked normal, but it had a payload inside that provided a backdoor, which allowed the Russians then to get into the systems that installed this update. And this update was pushed out. SolarWinds says it was pushed out to 18,000 clients. That's a lot, because it's not 18,000 people like you and me. It's 18,000 big companies, government agencies, cities, states. It is a big deal. And here's the real problem. We don't know how many of them were hacked. We don't know what the hack was, and in many cases, we'll never be able to find whatever's been embedded on these systems, and that's the thing that's most scary. The Russians have been in these systems since spring. Notice, it's kind of not a coincidence. They tested this out in October of last year, 2019. But they tested out the hack, but there was no payload. There was no backdoor. They just said, well, is this going to work? That's, by the way, one of the fingerprints of the Russians. They very often, and this is the Russian Federal Security Agency, they very often will do a trial run We see this in Ukraine. They use Ukraine as their, let's see what happens if we push this button. And then it happens and they go, okay, good. We have good tool. So I'm glad it's the Russians because I can do a Russian accent. So we got the good tool. So they tried in October, they tried this, but without a payload. Yeah, boy, I wish we'd noticed back then. Then in March, they sent it out. They said, pull the trigger, do it. So these systems have been hacked since March. This is not unusual. It's very common nowadays for these kinds of sophisticated hacks to get into a system and quietly explore. And they're very careful to make sure no one knows they're there. And no one knew. It wasn't until December, 9 months later, 9 months, that we've discovered this. Now, if a hacker has 9 months to wander around in a large computer network, they can do all sorts of damage. They can plant all sorts of seeds that will not ever be discovered. And this is, you might say, well, look, I can, if you've got a small business or your home, I can go through all my systems and see that they're clean. And, if I have to reinstall and back up and all this, I can fix it. Yeah, so pretty much. First of all, you can't, but you can do a pretty good job. But understand, this attack is not the kind of attack you and I face. When a nation state gets in there, these are the best hackers in the world. Oh yeah, we have ours. Oh, by the way, do not think that we are not attempting the same thing to Russia, China, and other adversaries. Do not think that China, Iran, North Korea, and other countries are not trying the same thing. This is going on now pretty much all the time. And the thing that's different from conventional warfare, it's not expensive. Compared to an M1 Abrams tank or a B-1 bomber, a attacking team is cheap. And there are plenty of people, if you give them the resources and the tools and the time, who can do this. So you can pretty much assume that even a small country that doesn't have a large conventional army might have an army of hackers. Which is why it's hard to say for sure it's Russia. It could have been somebody pretending to be Russia. President Trump says it's China. I think he doesn't like to say anything, that Russia did anything bad. Mike Pompeo, his Secretary of State, says it's Russia. And so do most of the security experts who you ask say, yeah, it's got all the earmarks of a Russian attack. And it makes sense because Russia, they have a nuclear arsenal, and they do have a large conventional army, but they're not really a superpower any longer. But any country can be a superpower when it comes to the cyberspace, and they seem to have done something pretty devastating. So these large networks are hacked. They may have 1 million machines. They may have a massive network. You can be sure the Department of Energy and Homeland Security and Commerce and State, these national agencies have lots of systems, lots of what they call endpoints. And any number of them could have been hacked in all sorts of invisible ways. In other words, we're discovering this, but it doesn't mean we can wipe it out or eradicate it. It doesn't even mean we'll ever really know what they did. Some of it we will know. We're learning more all the time. Some of it will never be exposed. But the worst thing is they're in there. They're like cockroaches now. They are in there. And it is going to be almost impossible to get rid of them. And they might be in infrastructure. They might be in our electrical grid. They might be all sorts of places. This is the future of war. It's not marching armies and tanks across your national borders anymore. You don't have to. It's a lot easier if you just hack SolarWinds and they unwittingly hack everybody that's a customer. Other companies that may have been involved in this hack are showing up as well, companies like VMware. So this is so widespread. Tom Bossert, who was the former Homeland Security advisor, wrote in the New York Times that the magnitude of this ongoing attack is hard to overstate. And at this point, the defensive measures, the response that we need to make is more political than it is technological. It's pretty hard you're not going to want to hack them back. I mean, you probably will, But honestly, there are other things that we're going to have to do to respond to this, to really discourage countries from doing this. This has gone beyond being a simple technical matter now. It's out of my hands. It's now politics. But it's hard to, I'm sorry to say, hard to overstate how problematic this is and how long this may go on, and how permanent, or at least semi-permanent, the damage is. It's a big deal. So if you have any questions, we could talk about it. I'd love to hear from you. 8888 Ask Leo. I was on a radio station on our San Francisco affiliate KGO yesterday, and the host Chris asked me, well, what does this mean for end users, people like you and me? Nothing. It's not the kind of hack we'd ever be subject to. You should keep doing have your good passwords and your two-factor authentication. But at this point, this is beyond my pay grade. This is serious stuff. And it's not a question of whether the Department of Homeland Security has a good backup. You understand? It's a mess. It's a mess. It's a miracle. You need a fireplace in your studio like mine. Kim Schaffer, the unbreakable Kimmy Schaffer, our phone angel.
Maybe this could become a fireplace.
Turn the transmitter up.
Turn the transmitter on.
Yeah. It glows. We can turn it on. I'll come in and turn it on. I don't think it'll warm you up, though.
No.
Hi, Kim. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays. We're almost there.
Almost there. Next week, I should say, we will do a best of so you don't have to come. You don't have to come in. Take the week off.
I was thinking about that. Did you ever take a vacation this year? Because
no.
We may have worked the entire year through.
I think
without
we did.
Without a break.
Wait a minute. I think I took the 4th of July off.
Did you?
I think so.
Oh, okay.
Professor Laura says you did because she has to. When I'm not here, she has to hold down the fort. Yeah. She doesn't get a day off. Did you work all year, Professor Laura? Any vacation for you? She did. No vacation. She works 6 days a week.
She's essential.
She's an essential worker. Well, actually, she's safe, just like you and me, because she's in a sealed studio with nobody around. Who should I don't even have time to talk to anybody because I went on and on about the SolarWinds thing.
Okay. Yeah, so I heard you on the radio yesterday.
KGO, our San Francisco affiliate.
As soon as you got off the air, oh my God, he had such a man crush on you. He was gloating about how much he loves you.
Jeez. Chris, I'll show up anytime. I had no idea. So yeah, it's one of those things where it's hard to put your head around what happened, and to know what to do at this point is hard to know.
I hadn't even heard of it until I got a message from the producer saying, "Hey, can you put me in contact with Leo?"
The real story is that we are so dependent now on technology, and we haven't really secured it very well. There's another question whether you could even do it well enough to keep these guys out. It's kind of a mess. Yes. Anyway, we'll talk more about that. Scott Wilkinson, home theater gurus, coming up. Your calls too. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Our show today brought to you by my friends at ExpressVPN. I know I probably don't have to explain to you, you're smart, why you might want to use a virtual private network. I'll give you the highlights of it, and then I'll tell you, because this is the big question really, is, all right, I want to use a VPN for security, for privacy, but what's the best VPN? And that's why I'm a fan of ExpressVPN. A VPN, a virtual private network, is used for a variety of things. Initially, the idea of a VPN was to give you secure access to a remote computer. We started using VPNs to access company networks when we were out and about. But then somebody noticed, hey, this is a nice benefit because the VPN is encrypting all the traffic coming out of my PC all the way to the VPN server. That means if I'm in a coffee shop, nobody can see what I'm doing. Nobody can hack my system. It's secure. It's private. And then, more recently, people have started to notice private. I like that word. I would like to use a VPN at home as well because your internet service provider, whether it's your mobile phone company, your carrier, or your ISP at home, they see everything you're doing. And in some cases, actually in many cases, it's completely legal for them to do this. They resell that information to marketers. The sites you visit, the sites you search for, they can sell that information on. And if you want to keep that private, another good reason to use a VPN. There's a third reason that's really topical. If you've watched everything you could watch on Netflix, you're done. You see, there's nothing new. But you're a Doctor Who fan. If you have a VPN, ExpressVPN, you can surf to England. You could say, I'm going to emerge on the public internet in England and watch Netflix UK using your Netflix account, and suddenly you got all the Doctor Who episodes. Or Netflix Japan, and you've got all the anime you could consume. That's the beauty of a VPN. You don't, and sometimes people say, well, I don't need privacy. I got nothing to hide. Yeah, but you do close the bathroom door, right? Everybody, privacy doesn't mean you have something to hide. It just means you want to keep your stuff private. So that's why you would use a VPN. And that's why I use ExpressVPN. Because you want, the one thing to remember is all of these things, you're just kicking the can down the road. The VPN provider now sees everything you're doing. You want a VPN provider that respects you, respects your privacy, that does not log, and even more importantly, you want one where all of that not only is in their privacy policy, but is proven by third-party audits. That's ExpressVPN. They use PricewaterhouseCoopers to verify that their privacy policy is exactly what they said it is, that they don't log your... In fact, they even created something called Trusted Server that runs in memory that can't log your presence on ExpressVPN. And PricewaterhouseCoopers verified, yes, that works exactly as specified. #1 rated VPN by CNET, Wired, The Verge. I say it's the one I use, and I really think it's the one you should use. So we know why you want a VPN, but really the most important choice is not whether to use one. You want one. The most important choice is which VPN. That's why I say ExpressVPN. If you're like me, you believe your online activity is your business, secure yourself by using expressvpn.com/techguy today. Actually, if you use that link, you're going to get an extra 3 months free with your 1-year package. ExpressVPN, EXPRESSVPN, spelled out, .com/techguy. 15 months for the price of 12. I do believe that's a 25% discount when you go to expressvpn.com/techguy. Here he is, ladies and gentlemen, home theater guru, our geek in residence, Scott Wilkinson, contributor at Tech Hive and our audio-visual aide. Hello, Scott. He's on our AV squad. Hey, congratulations.
I'm the AV squad.
I heard Tuba Christmas went really well.
Yes, it went great.
Good.
It went great. And I thank everybody so much, those of you who tuned in and watched it live. And it's still up on YouTube. Will be in perpetuity. So head on over to that same URL, 2020.tubachristmasla.com, and check it out.
That's nice. So for people who couldn't make it at 3 o'clock last Sunday, they can go and watch it on YouTube still. So that's nice. Yep. I will make, because I couldn't. I was doing a show, but I will. Yeah. I will tune in. That's great. That's really cool.
Yeah.
So how many tubas? Again, how many did you get? 100 tubas out? How many tubas did you get out?
Well, actually, we had one video that was that got its world premiere on Tuba Christmas. Had 229 players on it.
Oh my gosh! How did you do that?
Yep. Well, I didn't. A tuba player here in L.A. by the name of Scott Sutherland basically solicited any tuba player who wanted to submit a video of them playing one of 6 parts. Some people submitted more than one. They played several parts. And he strung it all together in Final Cut Pro. My technical director, Mike Klein, otherwise known as Mike Mann in the chat room, was very impressed. And he's a professional video editor.
Not easy to do because it's hard to sync up all those instruments. But even worse, when they're playing, you've got to give them some sort of click track or something so that they can know what to play with.
He did give a click track. What you would do is you'd go to the website, you'd download the play-along part, which had a click track on it. And
then you'd
I did
play,
it. I'm in that video.
You'd listen in your headphones, and you'd play and record your playing. And then when he got your video back, he could adjust it to line it up.
Adjust it and sync it up with.
Did he make you do a clacker, a clap, or something?
No,
at the beginning?
and I thought he would. I do that when I do that kind of a project. I make sure everybody gives a clap at the beginning,
and that's why in movies
so you can really line things up.
The clapper, that thing they use to make a loud
clap.
Yeah, to make a loud clacking sound so they can sync up the audio.
That really helps you synchronize everybody up. But he didn't do that. He said, "Oh, the waveforms are good enough."
Good man. Trained professional. I can't wait. 200, how many? 220?
229 tuba players from 21 different countries.
Wow. And what were they playing?
They were playing a medley of
different
4
things.
different Christmas songs arranged by Scott Sutherland, the guy who put it all together.
Job. Wow.
Yeah, serious.
That's nice.
And that's also up on YouTube as well. But if you watch my Tuba Christmas show, you'll see it there. Near the end, we had a visit from Santa at the North Pole. That was really fun.
Cool.
Turns out they're not too worried about COVID up there because they're pretty isolated.
And elves, it's well known. Elves don't get sick, so perfect.
Yeah, right.
So what is our home theater topic of the week?
Oh, the home theater topic of the week is a review I did on Tech Hive, just published, so it's up there near the top. This is for all of you high-end headphone geeks. You remember I did a review some time ago of the Focal Stellia?
Yeah.
It's easily the best headphones I've ever heard, and they ought to be for $3,000.
Are they better than Apple's AirPods Max, Pro Max?
Well, I don't
think
know.
they
I
are.
have not
they
heard
are.
those
Trust
yet.
me. Yeah. They are.
I'm actually kind of curious to listen to those Apples just to hear what they sound like.
I've seen a couple of reviews from high-end audio guys who say they're pretty good. They're pretty good. And the good thing is that they're exposing people to the notion that headphones could cost more than a couple of $100, that they might cost as much as $550 or even more, and that there is, that there are headphones that sound really good. I don't think I would say they're not audiophile headphones. They're really more for people who want Apple's ecosystem. They want Siri and they want all of that and the spatial sound and all that. But the one audiophile review I saw, he said it's actually they're pretty good. They're not bad anyway.
Yeah.
They're not as good as these. What are these? Focal art? What is it? Arch?
Focal. Well, the Focal Arch is what I just put up as a review. It's an amplifier.
Oh, to go with
basically a headphone.
The Stellia
headphones.
To
go with the Stellia or any of Focal's other high-end headphones.
Oh, wow.
It's
how much is the amp? The headphones are $3,000. What's the amp?
$3,000. The amp is $2,490.
So roughly,
although
10 times the Apple AirPod Pro Max.
Yeah. Now I have to tell you that, and this may seem a little ludicrous, but Focal is offering package deals on some of their headphones and amps. You're saving like $1,000 off the combination.
Oh, that's nice.
Which is not bad,
honey. I would like these for Christmas, honey. I don't think honey is that.
But I got to tell you, man, it seems ridiculous to spend $5,000 on a pair of headphones and an amplifier, but when you hear them, and the question is, are they 10 times as good as a $500 pair of headphones like the Apples or others that are probably even better?
Oh, I can tell you they're not, because nothing's 10 times as good.
Exactly.
Right.
You have a point of diminishing returns. As you increase cost, you do increase quality.
Right.
But the ratio sort of levels off. Still, I have to say that listening to this amplifier and these headphones, and of course I still have the Stellias, and I listened to this amp on the Stellia headphones, and what a wonderful listening experience it is. Wow.
So the one thing to say, I guess, is if you were going to get a fancy stereo system with very, very good speakers, you'd probably spend at least that much.
Oh, at least that much.
And
more.
And more to get this kind of quality. So
yes,
in a way, I know this is a bit of a stretch, but in a way it's economical. If you want audiophile audio,
yes,
this is relatively economical way to do it. I almost can't even say that.
Yes.
So this amp has to be driven by something, a digital input of some kind. It has optical
input. Yes, digital input.
Okay.
And
you wouldn't want to drive it with your
audio.
Your iPhone and AirPlay or Bluetooth. That would be foolish.
Actually, I tried to do that.
Yeah.
I tried to drive it with my iPhone.
Yeah.
And it said, it was so weird. The iPhone told me, oh, you need some power. I was trying to drive its USB input. And I said, wait a minute, you don't need any power. This thing's plugged in.
Right.
Well, Focal said that it is a problem with some amplifiers, and you can get around it with kind of a kludge. But I just said nuts to that, and I played from Tidal, Tidal. This is the high-res music streaming service, uncompressed or losslessly compressed, from my computer USB out into the amp.
Could you also put a CD player on it or...
Oh, yeah. It does have an analog input as well. Or you could take a digital out from the CD player, an optical or coax digital
Is the DAC in this amp so good that you'd want to do that? You'd want it to convert the digital to analog?
Absolutely. Okay. Absolutely. It's a superior DAC, digital to analog converter. Really, really good.
We've explained this before, but I'll just quickly explain that your headphones are analog, but your computer and most other sound sources these days are bits. They're digital. A CD, a computer, they're bit. So somebody has to take the bits and turn them into an analog waveform. That's called a DAC, a digital to analog converter. And audiophiles anyway say there's big differences between the DAC in, say, a smartphone versus the DAC in something like this, and that's part of the cost.
Correct. That's certainly part of the cost. Yeah. This amp, by the way, can also be used as a standalone DAC in a high-end 2-channel audio system.
So go to techhive.com. He's right on the front page if you want to read the review. Sounds pretty nice. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Thank you, Scott.
Zonk.
Yeah, wow. Boy, yeah. So together,
it's a beautiful thing.
The bundles are about, what, $5,000, I think?
$5,000, yeah.
Wow. I wish I knew somebody.
It's a lot of money
who liked me.
But as you pointed out, and rightly so, you can spend way more than that on a 2-channel speaker-based system.
Yeah.
Now, the speaker-based system means you can share it with other people. Headphones are obviously isolating by nature.
Right.
It's only you.
Right.
But a lot of audiophiles, that's how they listen anyway. They've got a room with a dedicated 2-channel speaker-based system and one chair sitting in the sweet spot.
Right.
A lot of people do that.
I kind of like, I don't know why, but I think I like the openness of speakers a little bit better than headphones for audio.
Well, there's a big difference, and that is with speakers, some of the left channel sound reaches your right ear and vice versa. Right. With headphones, you're completely isolated.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, they call that the headphone effect, and it can be fatiguing.
It can be with the Stellias. I don't find it so.
Yeah.
But it's one reason why engineers mix albums on speakers,
right?
Because that's how it's mostly going to be, listened to by consumers. It's not going to be on speakers, and there is a difference in quality. A qualitative difference. Listening
so probably
on
with my
listening
ELACs powered by a nice ELAC DAC, an amplifier,
right?
I'm probably not sounding quite as good as those headphones. They're certainly less expensive.
Well,
Parastereo
but again,
ELACs
we're talking about that the price-performance ratio, which kind
so
of
you think that these
out.
Stellias would sound better, but a little bit better? It's incrementally better, is what you're saying.
It's incrementally better.
Yeah.
I would say so. But again, now we're talking speakers versus headphones,
right?
And no matter how much
speakers.
you spend on,
I like the I also there's an ambience, right? You get the room.
There is an ambience.
It gets involved.
Now that's an argument you can go either
pro
way.
or con.
You can say, well. Pro or con, because you can say, well, speakers in a room have a certain sound, but what if the room is lousy? What if it has lousy acoustics? Then you're impacting the sound negatively. Headphones don't have any of that. You get a reliable sound every time, no matter where you are.
Yeah.
On the other hand, as you say, if you're in a good room or reasonably good room,
right,
speakers can sound great.
Right.
And in fact, a room can improve the sound of mediocre speakers.
Right.
So, there's a lot to think about here.
I think also modern binaural technologies make headphones more capable of giving you a sound stage that's similar to the speakers.
Correct.
That's a
true,
big
depending
change.
on how the recording was made.
Right. That's a big change over the years. This kind of high. Does the Arch do the binaural decoding, or does it matter? It doesn't.
No, it's just if it sent something like a binaural recording, something that was recorded,
it'll pass it through.
It'll pass it through easily, no problem.
So you'd want to get a binaural recording, or a surround recording, maybe,
or what's called a virtualized recording.
So that's what these
for example,
Apple headphones do, is that they support this kind of spatial audio.
Do they synthesize it from regular 2-channel?
No, they take 5.1.
They take 5.1 and they synthesize or virtualize it
into 2 speakers. Yeah. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Oh, I'm going to Christmas Island. Actually, I have a pretty Christmassy island on my Animal Crossing, but that's another story. 8888 Ask Leo. It's time to get to the phones. I know we've got a lot of callers. Thank you for your patience. Let's start with Michael in Anaheim, California. Hi, Michael.
Hey, Leo. How you doing?
I'm great. Welcome. What can I do for you?
Hey, I just had a quick question for you. What is your opinion as far as leaving the PC on all the time? Is it something that you should shut down every night, or is there any harm leaving it on just until it burns out?
It's not bad for the computer. In fact, you could argue it's better for the computer to leave it on. It's only bad for the environment, and I think only minorly bad. So you're using power as long as the computer's on. Modern computers and modern monitors and all that go into a sleep mode, which is fairly low power, 8 or 9 watts, but it's still using power. The argument is that turning a computer off and on again stresses it. A light bulb burns out when it's first turned on, popped, right? Because of that surge of electricity through a worn light bulb. It's not exactly analogous, but that's the idea, is that your hard drives, if you have spinning drives, they cool off, they heat up. That's hard on the bearings. Everything goes through this kind of surge of power. So if you wanted your computer to last a long time, it probably is a good idea to leave it on. It's not going to, on the other hand, it's going to last longer than you want it to anyway, in most cases, because these days, computers don't wear out. The operating systems and the technologies become antiquated before the computer itself stops working. So I feel guilty leaving them all on, but I have one computer that acts as a server, so I leave it on all the time. In fact, it's not even hibernating because it has to be available. I think if you use sleep and you let the computer sleep, not hibernate, because that's actually not a low power state, that's an off state. And you make sure the monitor, which uses a lot of juice, you make sure it turns itself off. I would leave it on. The advantage is, of course, it's ready faster.
Absolutely.
The other disadvantage is most operating systems these days probably should be rebooted from time to time. Some people who use Linux will show off their 15-year uptime, like this computer has never. But honestly, Windows and Mac, I think especially rebooting Windows every few days is not a bad idea. It doesn't mean you have to turn it off, but that's something you might want to keep in mind too.
So keeping it on long term doesn't wear out the hard drives or the fans or anything.
No, it's kind of the opposite. So anything with moving parts like a fan and a hard drive, when you turn it off, it cools off, everything gets cold, and you turn it on again, it starts up again, it's cold, the bearings expand as they get warmed up. All of that expansion and contraction causes metal fatigue. They actually wear out faster. Honestly, when you take all of the pros and cons, they're all tiny, minor. I would say it doesn't matter. Do what you want.
All right. But Leo's professional opinion, you're saying leave it on.
It won't hurt to leave it on. It just uses juice. It uses power. And that's, if everybody left all their computers on all the time, that would be a bad thing. So I guess if I were going to be responsible, I would say, oh, no, everybody should turn it off. But honestly, it's better for the computer to leave it on.
Gotcha. So it's going to like the low power sleep mode and everything is good.
Let it do that. Let it do that. And in that case, the hard drives are in most cases getting turned off. So you're probably not getting all the benefit, frankly, of turning it off. Come to think of it, of leaving it on. You're in effect you're kind of turning it off. So really, when I add up the pros and cons, it comes down to how fast you want it to start up in the morning, and how much. How gentle do you want to be on the environment? I guess I would say, unless you need it to come up right away when you hit one key, I would turn it off. If you're gonna, my personal rule of thumb is if I'm gonna be gone for more than a couple of hours, if I'm, or overnight, I turn it off. Because I don't think it's gonna wear it out so much faster that you're gonna say, oh man, Windows 10 will be a distant memory by the time you wear out that computer. They just don't wear out that fast. Andrew, Los Angeles is next. Hi, Andrew.
Hey, thanks for taking the call. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. By the way, before I get to my question, that thing about leaving the computer on, that wouldn't apply to laptops, right? Just like desktops?
Yeah, usually I leave, believe it or not, I don't turn off laptops. I just close the lid. And that powers them. That is effectively powering them down. They're using a little bit of juice, but not very much. Yeah, it's the same story. And nowadays with solid state drives, it probably doesn't matter if you shut it down or not.
All right, thanks. So my question is, I'm in the process of transitioning from Verizon Wireless to Spectrum Mobile. So your thoughts on that? And then going from a J35 Galaxy to their phone is a Galaxy A51. Your thoughts on that? And then they're going to use a smart switch thing. And I'm just wondering, with all the apps I have, and of course my calendar is my life, is that as easy peasy as they make it out to sound, or would I have to reinstall? So just your thoughts on Verizon.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to make any difference from your point of view of your apps. So what Spectrum does is they don't have cell towers, so they are reselling somebody's technology, probably Verizon's. Do you know who they're reselling?
Yeah, I believe it's Verizon.
Yeah.
Verizon stuff.
Yeah, that's what Comcast does too. So essentially, it's a cheaper Verizon, or may not be cheaper. I don't know, but it's a cheaper Verizon. And the reason that these cable companies are doing it, besides the fact that they kind of need other revenue models because people are cutting the cord so rapidly, is because they have a lot of bandwidth in your house. So that's the switching. So when you're at home, calls and data are all through your Wi-Fi, your Spectrum cable. It's only when you're out and about. And at that point, if there are other Spectrum users, as you're downtown and somebody's using Spectrum you'll start to use their Wi-Fi, but it'll switch rapidly back and forth from Wi-Fi to Verizon. So I don't see any disadvantage to that. If you're getting a better deal or you like what they're offering, I think go for it. Everything else is going to operate completely normally. All your music will stream the same. Everything should be the same, presuming that they have the handoff and everything all worked out. I'm not familiar with that particular Samsung phone, but I'm sure the reason that they're switching you is because the phone itself has to understand the different bands and usually has some form of built-in switching, so that the software doesn't have to do it. The phone itself will say, this I'm getting a Spectrum Wi-Fi signal. It's better than the Verizon signal. Let's use that. Here's the only negative, and I find this to be a negative with Xfinity/Comcast as well. There are people out there who have a router but don't have any internet access. So the Wi-Fi's on, your phone will see the signal and join it, and then say, nothing's happening. And so my wife, I'm a Comcast customer. My wife leaves this feature on her phone, and often it's the case that she can't. Her phone stops working, and she says, "I don't know why, but when I turn off Wi-Fi, it works great." And I'm trying to explain, but that's what's happening. Is the phone is saying, "Let's use the Wi-Fi." The Wi-Fi is no good. So if you turn off Wi-Fi entirely, suddenly it says, "Well, I have to use a cellular network," and it's fine. So that's the one little caveat. You might run into that little hitch there.
Huh. Okay.
I don't know. I don't know if Spectrum has, figured out a way to do this or whatever. I don't know why there's so many Xfinity hotspots that don't have internet access. That's very annoying. I don't know if that's something broken in their system. But yeah, no, it's going to be Verizon, except when it's not, except when it can get a Wi-Fi signal. And that saves them money, remember. Now you're not using, they're going to charge you for minutes, just like Verizon does, but you're not using the cell towers. You're using the Wi-Fi, the data. I think we're seeing more and more of this. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if the big cell companies start to do this too. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Says Mike Heiss is in the chat room. He says that Spectrum uses Verizon, so their 5G is only millimeter wave at this time. Actually, Mike, that's not true. I think Verizon has really rolled out this low-band 5G pretty widely. If it is just millimeter wave, that's not going to be useful unless you're near a millimeter wave tower, within 80 feet of a millimeter wave, or 800 feet of a millimeter wave tower. Verizon has both millimeter wave and 800 or 900 megahertz now, Mike. That was that big rollout. That was why they said 5G 800 times on the Apple event, because they're now offering low band as well as millimeter wave. All right. Guess who's here? Santa Claus. So we'll let Santa take over. Yes, sir.
Thank you. Before you go, so next week is a best of show.
Yep, nothing to do.
Nothing to do. What about January 2nd?
Yep, we do a show.
Then
but you don't
be
have
here.
to. But I will be here.
I'm not going anywhere.
Okay. Yeah,
it's not like I'm preparing for CES or anything.
No, we're only taking 1 week off, and that's the December 26th weekend. 26th, 27th. All right. But I will see you on the 2nd.
Boxing Day it is then.
Boxing Day it is.
Yes, I'll see you. And,
actually, that's not Boxing Day. That's what is the Boxing Day equivalent of New Year's? It's I've got a terrible hangover and I'm staying in bed all day.
Yeah, we can't even watch the Rose Parade. There's no Rose.
It's Rose Parade Day. That's the first. I don't know what the second is. What good is the second? It's the worst day of the year. The day you go back to work.
You realize, I don't know if you signed up for CES virtual.
No,
I did,
of course not.
No, I mean, I did. But Press Day starts at 7 a.m. Eastern time.
I'll be watching your coverage.
I will not be getting up for Press Day. Watch live. The good thing about it is I can watch later.
Yeah. No, I could see no reason. It's just, they're trying to keep their business alive. But what's the point? I can get press releases from anybody. I don't need them.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah. All right. All yours.
All right. Thank you. Hey, everybody. Thanks again to everybody for watching Tuba Christmas. It was an awful lot of work, but I think it came off really well, and I'm so glad that some of you were able to enjoy it, and you still can. It's still up there, so if you didn't see it live, I encourage you to go watch it. It's a lot of fun. And you get to see that 229 tuba amazing video Scott Sutherland did. So let's see. Oh, I wanted to mention somebody here in the chat room mentioned something that warmed the cockles of my heart, which was Uncle Bick said that he read a review of mine and thanked me for turning him on to Brass Tracks, which recognized something that I consciously do, and I'm glad to know that somebody noticed in a way. Whenever I write a review of an audio product, I listen and identify the tracks I listen to, and I use different tracks every single review, and I try to find really interesting, good-sounding tracks to turn people on to maybe music they hadn't heard before. I do that consciously. And I'm so glad Uncle Bick let me know that got through, that he found one of the groups that I did sounded really good. And I try to find really, really good groups. You know what really surprised me was this last review, the one of the Focal Arch. I found a track on a recent Sheryl Crow album The album is called Threads, and on this album, she pairs up with a bunch of famous people, famous singers, and in one track in particular called Lonely Alone, she pairs up with Willie Nelson, and this track is amazing. I mean, it's a great country song, first of all, but the mix is remarkable. It almost sounds like a immersive surround sound virtualization. I listened to it on headphones, but it was wonderful. One of my favorite tracks of the year. So I encourage you to go listen to that. It's really beautifully done. Of course, in the last few reviews I've done, I've always started with a Jacob Collier track. And those of you who don't know the name Jacob Collier, he is a British musician. Some have called him the 21st century Mozart, and I wouldn't disagree. He's amazing, plays all the music himself, and most of it anyway, and all the vocals, does all the writing and arranging. It's remarkable. He's got 4 albums out now, so I really strongly recommend that you check out Jacob Collier. I can't get enough of this guy. He's great. He just released a single of the Christmas song with him singing many, many parts in a more or less a cappella arrangements. Beautiful. Just beautiful. So thank you, Uncle Bick, for noticing what I was doing there. I appreciate that. Tokyo Tony says, I have a TCL. I mentioned it this last week. I remember TCL R617 having problems with gray splotches, so-called dirty screen effect. Here is a picture. Oh, I'll have to click in on that. Tony, he says, fortunately, I have Amazon's insurance. They've arranged a repair guy, but asked me to simply show him a picture first. 2 days later, I get a notice they can't repair it, so they'll give me a full refund. Woohoo! So yeah, $60 4-year insurance plan. See, on certain, normally I don't buy extended warranties. On laptops I do, and TVs I think may be a good idea. Tell you the truth. So let me see if I can click through to Tony's picture here. Yeah, it's taking a while to come up. Oh, maybe that's it. I can't see under the studio lights. It's hard for me to see that, Tony. I'll take a look when I'm not under the studio lights. Let's see. Phoenix Warp 1, please check out the YouTube channel, My Analog Journal, Guy Spiral's World Music, like Turkish 60s singers, Cuban jazz, UK jazz, Japanese 80s city pop. Yeah, right, man. Very good. Unknown tracks. I love hearing music I hadn't heard before. Yes, Elmo, Jacob Collier is a musical genius. Mike B, yes, Leo might disagree with me on a TV warranty. I get that. We don't agree on everything, most things, but and that's okay too. No TV warranty, Web 3535 says. None of them go past 3 to 5 years and they die after that anyway. Well, Tokyo Tony would beg to differ, I would say. So, you know, it's kind of the luck of the draw. I generally agree, electronics and extended warranties, if electronics are going to fail, they're going to fail soon, which means you don't need an extended warranty. Laptops, I think, are different because if they fail, they're very expensive to repair. So,
thank you, Scott.
Uncle Bick says, yes.
Have a
time
good
to
day.
Go.
Yep.
Thank you. You too. And a Merry Christmas.
Oh, yeah. Have a great Christmas. I'll see you in 2 weeks.
See you in 2 weeks.
Thank you. Well, hey. How are you today? Leo Laporte here, the tech guy. Time to talk computers, the internet, home theater, digital photography, smartphones, smart watches, you know, that kind of stuff. 8888 Ask Leo is the phone number. 888-827-5536. That's toll free from anywhere in the U.S. or Canada. 8888 Ask Leo. If you're outside the area, you can still call, use Skype or something. I don't think you'll even need any Skype credit, come to think of it, because it's a toll-free call. Shouldn't cost you anything. Website that goes along with the show is techguylabs.com. That's the place to go. When you hear something and you go, I want to know more, we put it all up there. Our scribe, James DeRuvo's jotting it all down. There's also a list. Occasionally I get an email saying, what was that great song Professor Laura played in the third hour, in the second break? And we put the whole playlist up on the website. I haven't mentioned this before, but each day the songs that Lady Laura plays are, she puts a list together. Right, Laura? You do some sort of Spotify list or something, and you'll find all of those songs on the website, techguylabs.com. And no, I'm not trying to make money off of you. There's no charge. There's no sign up. It's free for all. Enjoy. Back to the phones we go. Line 3, Jeff in Novi, Michigan. Hello, Jeff.
Hey, Leo. Jeff from Michigan. First time calling and a long-time fan. I've been following you since I was in college 15 years ago on Tech TV. Thanks for all that you do.
Oh, thank you, Jeff. That's great. Did you end up getting a computer degree?
No, business degree. I had originally started with
Smart man.
a computer degree, but the programming was too tough. So
Yeah. It is hard, isn't it? Yeah.
It is. I met you about 10 years ago when you came to Dearborn for the meet and greet.
Oh, that was so much fun. We went to see the Ford Rouge plant in Dearborn. Boy, that was cool.
Yeah, I hope to get your Mach-E soon and can't wait to hear what you think of it. My brother-in-law helped work on parts of the battery system. So.
Oh, really? Well, thank him. Yeah, this is the new Ford electric, all-electric. I'm putting Mustang in air quotes. You can't see her, but I'll put Mustang in air quotes. And as a Mustang owner, I know it's not the same. It doesn't have that throaty roar when you turn the key. In fact, it doesn't even have a key to turn. But it is all-electric, which I'm a fan of, and it's really the first built from scratch all-electric from Ford. So the reviews so far have been very positive. So I'm just waiting for...
see some around town here as they roll out.
Yeah. I can't wait.
Just to get into my question, I had a question about getting my first Synology NAS for my home. I thought this would be a good project over the holidays, but I think the last time I learned about RAID was in a high school computer class in 2000, so I want to get a take on your best way to implement this.
So I honestly, it depends on how much money you want to spend. The cheapest thing to do is take an old PC and use an open source version of Linux designed for network attached storage called FreeNAS. Put your own drives in there, and you can make a very nice system with a lot of effort. But since you're kind of a geek, that might be one way to go. You sounds like you're going to go for the Synology, which is what I use. That's going to be more expensive because you buy the enclosure, but you buy it without drives, and then you have to add drives, 2, 4, 5, 8, 32. It depends on which one you get. I have two 5-bay Synology drives or NASs, and then you decide what kind of drives you want to put in there. Generally, you would want to pick drives that are designed for network attached storage. They're designed to be on and used constantly.
Yeah, my wife and I have all Apple products, and we have iCloud backup, Google Photos backup, and everything we scan goes to Google Drive. And I know it's safe in the cloud, but I'd like to have a local copy as well, and back it up using Synology. And I watched your Hands-on Tech from a couple of years ago, Father Robert, and he showed a 2-drive Synology, and then he suggested plugging in a Seagate USB drive for redundancy. Is that something you recommend? Or
I don't know why he said that. No, get a. That's kind of a jerry-rig way to do it. A couple $100 more, you can get a 5-bay. I would go with 5 bays.
That's what I figured. And
it uses RAID, and actually they have their own. Sorry.
Is it worth SSDs at this point, or should you just get spinning drives?
No.
Cost?
Yeah. No. Don't put SSDs in a NAS.
Okay.
That would be a waste of money.
They're so expensive. If you get like 4 terabytes and up, it's super expensive still.
Yeah. I ended up the price on 16 terabyte. Good Lord, that's amazing. 16 terabyte drives dropped. I think it was around $300. So I ended up putting a couple of. The nice thing about Synology is you can mix and match. Normally with RAID, you want all the drives to match, but Synology is a little more flexible on that. And
that's good.
Yeah, so I put in a couple of 16s and I think an 8 and a couple of 4s. I put stuff in that I had, in other words.
They don't have to be the same size.
They do not. Normally RAID they do, but Synology has their own versions of RAID. And you should read up. The Synology is great, and it will work out of the box, with a few.
Yeah, I can't wait. I think about getting over the holidays would be a good project.
Perfect project. Because you should read up. There's a lot of things, especially when you're first setting it up, a lot of decisions that you might want to make, whether you want to use one drive out of the 5 for redundancy or 2. If you use 2-drive redundancy, as many as 2 drives can fail and you won't lose any data, but you'll also reduce the total storage. So it depends on how much you need. You're going to use it for backup, and that's certainly the main reason I use it, but it runs Plex, which is a media server technology that is really great, and it might be a good Plex server for you if you want to store movies or TV shows.
Did I hear you could do virtual machines as well?
You can. It's really a Linux box, and depending on the Synology you get, the price difference in the Synology is not merely, and this is true for most NAS, it's not merely the number of drive bays, but also how much processor's in there. You don't need as much as you would in a standard computer. You're not looking for an i7 or anything, but a little bit more powerful processor means you can use it as a computer to run Docker images or virtual machines or all sorts of things. You can use it as a server. For a website, for a long time I ran a wiki off of mine because I like having a wiki. There's a lot. Once you start getting into it, there's a lot you can do. And I think
that sounds great. I can't wait to check it out.
Now, one thing Synology does do is some of the Synologies do have a port for 1 or 2 small solid-state drives for caching. And that speeds up disk reads and writes. So you may or may not.
About speed,
Yeah, you're not, because the network is really what's slowing you down. So what this is the idea is you have it's like you have in the house, in a closet, a giant storage bay that you can put stuff on.
That's where I'm going to put it in the basement next to the network switch.
That's the idea, exactly. And that's exactly what I do. And then as you get more sophisticated, there's more you can do. You can put iDrive on your Synology and put it up in the cloud. You can. I have 2 Synologies mirroring each other, one at work, one at home. That's another way to do it, so I never have to worry about data loss.
Stick one at the parents' house or something.
Exactly.
And tell them not to touch it. And
you're getting into a whole new world, but I think Synology is a very good place to start.
Excellent. I appreciate it, Leo.
Have fun. It's a great holiday project. Yeah. I'll tell you, actually, my holiday project is similar. For a long time, I've been waiting. I have a technology that the FCC has now unfortunately obsoleted called cable card. I don't know if you know about this. You can go to the cable company, used to be able to anyway, I don't know what they're going to do from now on, but you used to be able to go to the cable company and say, look, I don't want to rent your dumb set-top box anymore. I want to rent a cable card. And this cable card I can put into a device. For a long time I was using TiVos, and it turns that device, the TiVo, into a set-top box. It decodes, pay channels, things like that. So it does everything the cable box would do, but it uses its own DVR facilities. There's a company called Silicon Dusk that makes a cable card-based device called the HD Home Run. And the idea is you put the cable card in that, and the one I got has 3 tuners. They were going to make one with 6 tuners. They abandoned that because the FCC has given up on cable card, unfortunately. But the Home Run will use the Synology NAS and Plex as a hard drive. And they're all in the network. So basically, the whole house now has 3 TV tuners it can access anywhere in the house on any device, including things like Roku's. Plus, it has kind of a huge amount, I think it's 30 terabytes of DVR storage available to it. So it's a great way to add to your Plex. You can record stuff that you want to have on your Plex using the HD Home Run. So that's my project for, I'll let you know when I come back after the holidays. That's my project for the holidays. There is some news in this regard. Thank you, FCC, or maybe thank you, Congress. But it turns out the rental charge for the cable boxes has now, as of today, the rental fees are banned. I guess we thank Congress. The Television Viewer Protection Act, the TVPA, approved by Congress, signed by President Trump December 2019. FCC decided to take a 6-month pause on it, but it now goes into effect today, saying Companies like Frontier, which has been charging $10 rental fees to consumers who use their own routers, even if it's your router, can't do it anymore. Now, I guess I don't know if this includes things like cable card and cable boxes, but the cable routers, if you have a router of your own, and this is what I do to save the money, the bill basically creates a consumer right to accurate equipment charges that prohibits TV and broadband providers for charging for covered equipment provided by the consumer. It's kind of unbelievable that Frontier was charging people $10 a month to use their own router, the router they bought. So good news, that's no longer legal. There's also a transparency rule that requires your cable company to inform you of all total monthly charges, including all company-imposed fees, a good faith estimate of government-imposed fees and taxes ahead of time. Cable companies have been notorious for kind of making this as complicated and obscure as possible. So thank you, Congress and President Trump, for signing this into law. No more rental fees for the routers you own, which is crazy. I have a Comcast, thank goodness, and I use my own router precisely to avoid that rental fee. But Frontier apparently was charging. What? That's cray-cray. Leo Laporte. The tech guy. 8888, ask Leo. Leo's back on the line from Upland, California. Hello, Leo. It's Leo.
Hey, how are you, Leo?
I'm good. How are you?
Pretty good. Let me mute this and bear with you, boss.
Sure.
Okay, so here's my problem. 53 years old, and the last few years I didn't keep up with technology and all that stuff, kept on changing.
It does. It changes fast, man. You got to keep up on it every single day. You got to read.
Right. I've been in a survival situation.
I don't blame you.
Ironically, I own my own home, and it's kind of like the Red Pill situation, documentary by Cassie J. I've been trying to do what I can, except all the lawyers keep on saying, why don't you sell the house? Sell the house. I don't sell the house. I don't walk away from it.
Sell the house and give us your money. How about that? That works out for us. Anyway, exactly. I'm sorry to hear about that.
Right. So
and I was being a little facetious because, yes, it changes all the time, but it is not your assignment to keep up on technology. You do have a life, after all.
Yeah. So right now I'm just trying to fix things. Hopefully I can be equitable with everybody, especially in the light of this COVID situation.
Yeah, it's
but
tough.
I need to do it right because I can't tolerate injustice in my life.
Okay.
No matter on what foothold, and from being marginally disabled or whatever, I'm not sure this is where I need to put like a shingle on YouTube or something out there. And every time I try to do it, I get like verklempt or the cement head or everything just starts to go. I mean, even when I try to put pen to paper and describe the situation, you got to look at the documentary, you'll understand what I mean, but that's neither here nor there. Chin up, shoulders back, and I need to try to do this right.
Good.
And so I need help in doing so. And
what is it that you want to do?
I don't know. I need help in getting help. High. I need to get high. Help in getting help.
I like that. Help in getting help is high. So first, of course, before you can get help for anything, you need to kind of quantify what it is you're trying to accomplish and what help you're looking for.
I need somebody to help me put like a YouTube video or a video put together and put on one of those crowdfunding things. I don't know anything about that, and every time I try to deal with Gmail or anything like that, I get cement head. And
so you want to raise money online? Is that what you want to do?
Well, here's the thing. I have the equity in my homes. I don't need so much money online as if that goes towards the help and getting help, but great. But I can pay that back with the equity. I just need the mechanics of what to do in my state because of these laws that are set up, in my opinion. I don't know. I haven't been able to research this as to what's going wrong. Why has some...
I'm sorry. I'm not following, Leo, what the issue is and what you want to do. Before you get any help for this, you need to kind of clarify what it is you're looking for help. The good news is YouTube itself is a very big help, depending on what you want to do. If you want to raise money on Kickstarter or you want to get a Patreon page together, I would go to those sites. They have help and how-to on there. There isn't, this is actually a larger issue, I think, in technology, which is maybe you have a computer and you have some technology and you've been able to kind of muddle along, and I would say this is the vast majority of people. But then something goes wrong. You get a virus or, the computer stops working or whatever. And it's a very technical thing. These technologies in your house are the most complicated devices you have. They're even more complicated than your car. And so, in general, most of us don't have the skills we need to figure out even what's wrong, let alone who to go to get it fixed. It's a real challenge. And there is, we have somebody who visits us in the chat room from time to time who has a company called Nerds on Site. They're computer fix-it people. They come around. There's businesses like that. There's the Geek Squad and so forth, where they'll come to you. The problem I have in general with all of these is you really have to find a company that vets its staff. And it's a challenge because, honestly, if you have really good technology skills and computer skills, you probably get a pretty good job not helping people with their computers, but working in a startup or a computer company. So the people who go around in the little Volkswagens maybe aren't the highest quality technicians out there. It's tough. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. I don't know what the answer is. He's been everywhere, man, breathing the mountain air, man. He's traveling everywhere. He's flying everywhere. He just came back from a beautiful weekend in Bali, in his bedroom. I'm trying to pump you up. Johnny Jett, our travel guru, who has, as much as anybody, suffered in the last 10 months of COVID-19. Travel industry is, I wonder, so it goes up and down, right? People were traveling again a little bit.
Yep.
And
first of all, we will be traveling again.
That's the good news. The vaccine's here.
It's here.
Yeah.
I mean, we just got to hold out a little bit longer. I have not been on a plane since February. The longest I'd been before that was 3 or 4 weeks.
Wow.
So
yeah, I haven't been on a plane since March 2nd, I think. We foolishly went to St. Louis in March. Now I'm thinking, boy, I lucked out, but there was no COVID there, so we were okay.
Yeah, yesterday 1 million people crossed through TSA checkpoints across the U.S.
That's a lot.
First time since the day after Thanksgiving, or day of Thanksgiving.
Big travel day yesterday. People are going home for the holidays, I guess, huh?
I'm predicting you're going to see 1 million people almost every day going through the next couple weeks. I just think people are still traveling, even though.
But are people traveling
telling you not to.
For pleasure anymore? How's that going?
It's not. Leisure travel is getting crushed. I mean, hotels around here, you can't even go unless it's essential travel.
Right.
In Northern California, in Southern California, most areas. So you have to look up where you're going. I mean, New York, they're getting crushed too. And a lot of these places have quarantines. Like you just said, your son's going up to Tahoe.
But it's got to be the Nevada side, you said, because...
It's got to be, because I mean, the California side, I'm pretty sure, has a strict quarantine in place right now.
Yeah.
And I just read that San Francisco now has a quarantine.
Can you go skiing? I mean, is that allowed?
I mean, a few days ago, I saw one of my friends up there, and she said she had a great time, and it was safe.
That seems like it's safe.
It is. If you're outside, you don't go inside to use the bathroom. Yeah. Speaking of not using the bathroom, China is telling some of their flight attendants that are working like COVID flights to wear diapers. Do not go into the bathroom.
Jeez Louise.
So that gives you an idea of, when you travel, you don't want to go in the bathroom these days because that's what's not safe because the air is not running through. And when I fly, I'd go every hour, but because I drink a lot of water, but I wouldn't be drinking a lot of water now.
Yeah. Okay.
But there's good news. A lot of good news.
What's the good news? Give us some good news, because that's all been
First,
terrible
you asked me
news.
about private rail travel last week, so I did a quick research. I was wrong. I've never been on private rail travel. The luxury cars where you have your own car, you own it yourself, and then Amtrak will tow it for about $3 a mile.
Oh.
This is according... And there's only about 80 people who own private rail cars in the U.S., and they cost about $250,000 and up. So, I mean, you're living the good life if you have one of those.
Amtrak's, that's pretty cheap. $3 a mile. I could go 1,000 miles, $3,000. I could put 100 people in my car. I could make some money on this. Jam them in like fish.
You're onto something. I didn't think about it that way.
That's not expensive, given you get a whole railroad car.
Well, I don't know if you can jam 100 people in there.
I'm
thinking more
joking.
like a family.
Yeah. That's an interesting. Can you rent them?
You know what? I'll have to do some more research. I don't know if you can.
I don't own a private railroad card, but it seems like it'd be fun if you could rent it, and they would arrange the whole thing. Yeah, there's cars available for charter. Believe it or not.
I would think people are going to rent theirs. I mean, people rent their jets out when they're not using them, so why not?
Why not?
But,
the American
Association, planning.
The American Association of Private Railroad Car Owners has cars for charter. Pretty cool, huh?
All right. I'm going to...
For weddings, family adventures, conventions, and celebrations. What kind of car do you want? You want a dome car? You want a diner car?
I'd like both. I'd like a sleeping car and a dining car.
Here's one. Northern Pacific 313. It's 20 people during the day, 13 people at night. It's a Vista Dome car built in 1954 by the Bud Company. And it's pretty nicely fixed up. Sounds good, huh?
That doesn't sound too bad.
I know.
I feel like I should.
Let's you and me rent a car. Let's you and me rent a railroad car and go for a ride.
That would be something. I mean, I've done a lot of luxury travel, train. I've done the Pullman, which I just looked up now.
This is one of the first things we're going to do when we go back is do some luxury train travel. I really love that idea. I love the
Eastern
trains.
Oriental Express from Bangkok to Singapore. I highly recommend, although you're not going to get a great night's sleep.
By the way, as you probably know, President-elect Biden is going to nominate Pete Buttigieg as his transportation secretary, and Pete says it's the railroads, baby. The railroads are coming back.
And I like to hear that because the U.S. needs that.
Yeah. That's
one of the best things about going to Europe.
We have such weak railroads, if they put some money, of course it's a money loser. We know that, but if they put some money into Amtrak, it's a great way to travel. They just need to update the trains, get them a little cleaned up. That'd be great.
And the tracks, make them a little bit smoother.
Yeah.
And most of all, it's the private, it's the manufacturing railroads that they have precedence. They own it. So that's why Amtrak's delayed a lot because
that's
if the cargo comes through, they pull them to the side.
They're carrying important stuff. Cargo. Yeah, that's okay.
Well, for sure. But
I would love to see
we do have a lot of work on that.
Because you're right. When you go to Europe, you get a Eurail pass. Man, you can get everywhere. It's really, and it's pleasant. It's fun. I like traveling by train.
Well, I mean, all over the world, a lot of times you can just land and then get on the train from the airport and go into the city. You can't do that in most U.S. airports.
Yeah.
San Francisco, you can take the BART. In Chicago, you can take the L. But in New York City, I mean, the air train's not great in connecting to the E train or wherever you're going.
Oh, it's a nightmare. You got to stop in Queens and you transfer and all that stuff. It really should be a simple trip.
Times.
Yeah, it should be just a straight shot.
But there are some deals right now for next year, so you might want to hop on it.
What are the deals?
Southwest Airlines has a deal that's expiring at the end of the month. So they're having a sale fair, and it's for travel between January and the end of May. Alaska Airlines has a really good one, a friends and family discount, and I'll tweet out the link where you can get it. It's 30% off all seats, all days of the week, and it's for travel from now until end of August. And that's a really good one. Also, the Homes and Villas by Marriott. They've gone into they're trying to take a little piece of Airbnbs, but they only have a small fraction, like 10,000 homes. But these are really popular. Some are $150 a night from a 2-bedroom condo to $22,000 a night. But they have a 10% off deal if you book between now and the end of the year. And speaking of Marriott, by the way, they're trying to get the conferences back. So what they're doing is they're offering a program where all the participants can test at home, take a test at home, and then when they get to the hotel for the conference, they'll retest them again. And they're doing it in certain hotels right now in Florida, Tennessee, Texas, and Colorado starting in January. And then they're going to expand. But that's exciting for conferences. And I just got invited to a big one in September. So
really?
Let's hope that happens.
I think that people are kind of figuring that about September, enough people have had the vaccine that life will go back to normal. I was hoping to maybe be earlier, but it sounds like everybody's betting, well, by September for sure.
Yes, I think September is, let's just hope and pray, okay? I remember listening to Dr. Fauci says he expects full football crowds by next season.
Sounds good to me.
I think basketball.
I'm ready. Yeah. I'll get my season tickets to the 49ers anytime. We'll meet you down there. Are you a Rams fan or Chargers fan? You got plenty of teams. Who do you like?
I'm a New York Giant fan. I grew up in Connecticut. Yeah. Hey, they're going to surprise people.
All right, Johnny Jet.
Most likely next year.
Go to johnnyjet.com. That's his website. His newsletter is at johnnyjet.com/newsletter. That's free. There's lots of great stuff there. You could follow him on Twitter. You could follow him on Instagram. He has a YouTube channel. And, of course, he's got a podcast, too, at johnnyjet.podcast. Thank you, Johnny.
Thank you.
Safe travels.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Giants.
Yeah.
That's funny. So Uncle Bick says he got to fly on a G7. Oh, my God. On Wednesday. You must have some rich friends. That's pretty nice. I've never been on a private jet before, ever. Nobody's ever.
No.
Never. Have you?
Fortunately, I've been multiple times.
Quite a few, yeah. Because you have highfalutin friends.
Very fortunate. But yeah, what a way to travel.
I've never been. I've only watched it on TV, but that's okay. I think at this stage in my life, it seems highly unlikely I'll ever get to fly private, but that's okay.
I disagree with that.
You think somebody's going to come along and say, Leo, we want you to come up with us to the Allen Co. And we're all flying to Boise. Come on.
I don't think
Park City.
Want to take
Come on.
I would rather stay domestically on a private jet. I wouldn't want to go to Hawaii or Australia or Europe even on a private, unless it's a really good sized plane.
Well, yeah, but a little short flight, just to Park City.
For sure, that's what I've done. I've done Pennsylvania, New York to Florida.
I did once, but it was a prop fly to Santa Barbara with a friend in a chartered flight, but it didn't feel like a private jet. It was a prop plane.
Yeah, those are little. And I see Mike B asked me about the 737 MAX.
Yeah,
I did see United's flying it. American actually is starting next week.
Wow.
And they're actually expanding. They're going to really expand a lot. They're going to start flying throughout the Caribbean with the 737 MAX, and Southwest is going to start, I think, in March.
You know what? I'm going to get a private. I'm not in a hurry. I'm going to get a private railroad car and just take the train. I think that's kind of an interesting idea. There's a bunch of them available for charter, believe it or not.
I mean, it's a great story. I never even knew about it. So I'm glad your listener asked last week.
You could charter them.
I mean, it blows my mind.
I'm going to see if I can find a price. I bet you it's as expensive as chartering a yacht.
Well, $3 a mile.
That's just for getting it around.
Right. And then you have to park. It says you have to pay for parking overnight, obviously.
Yeah, Amtrak does it too. Privately owned rail cars, an extraordinary way to see North America. They have a fall promotion. Wow.
And what website is that?
Well, this is Amtrak, but then there was the American Association, AAPRCO.com. American Association for Private Railroad Car Owners. Greetings, says Amtrak. Long-term parking promotion for Albany, $1,500 a month for your car. So you can park it for $1,500 a month. You get $3 a mile transport. Man, just move the studio. Just move the studio to a private railroad car and travel. Oh, that would be fun. I always thought that would be fun.
I mean, that's what parking costs in New York City.
I know. Yeah, but you're in like Buffalo. This is a little different. Wow. Yeah, I want to get a private car. That's it. I've figured it out. I see my future. I wanted a sailboat. No, I'm going to charter a private railroad car. Johnny, have a wonderful Christmas.
Hey, you
cuddle
too.
the kids. You're going to look back on this year and say, it was hard, but I got to spend a lot of time with my family.
It was great.
I'll never regret that.
No regrets about that.
Nope. Thanks, Johnny.
All right.
Stay safe. Bye-bye.
You too. Bye-bye.
Leo Laporte, the funky tech guy. 8888. Ask Leo the phone number. Let's go on with the calls. Dan from Lake Forest, California. Hi, Dan.
Hey, how's it going, Leo? How you doing?
It's good. How are you? Happy holidays.
Happy holidays to you, too.
Thank you.
I am having such a frustrating problem with my Windows 10 starting up. I'm coming back, so I never had any problems, but I switched over to Windows, and now I have problems.
Yeah, why did you switch? What the heck were you thinking?
You know what? I love to play games.
That's the best reason.
Games and it.
Yep.
And with the Mac, I couldn't do
No.
that. But unfortunately, I use it for work quite a bit, and now I do a lot of video production work since actually the New Tech video toaster days.
Wow. I was just talking about the toaster with some of the original toaster guys yesterday. Because, we use the successor to the video toaster, the TriCaster, for all of our video. We'll love it. We're just getting the brand new one. I'm very excited.
Oh, you still use it? Wow.
Oh, yeah. Well, there's so many things I could do with this. I don't do any of them. But the green screens and the star wipes and all sorts of stuff. Yeah, we're big fans.
I actually, my first New Tech device was called the Color Wheel, where it took 3 pictures to make 1 picture.
Oh, wow.
And that was back, the original item. So it was pretty cool.
We're getting a new TC E2, I think. Right, John? What are we getting? The TriCaster? 2 Elite. Oh, the TriCaster 2 Elite. I can't wait. We're getting that Monday, and John's going to take the time to take the holiday week to set it all up. So do you do this for a living or just for fun?
I do it for a living. I do a lot of time-lapse production, event production. I sell stock footage, so I render a lot of, time-lapse, still-frame RAWs together. It's actually funny. Johnny Jett actually tweeted one of my time-lapses. It was called Welcome to the Magic, a Disneyland time-lapse I did for them.
Oh, how neat.
And, yeah.
So companies will contract with, it's funny, my son started doing a little bit of that. He just graduated from college. He's doing a little contract drone work because there are lots of companies that want drone footage, and it's a lot cheaper than renting a helicopter. And he's getting pretty proficient at the dronage. So that's interesting. Let the magic welcome to the magic.
Welcome to the magic, time-lapse. Yeah, it'll come right up. Another buddy of mine, Matt, did. But yeah, Johnny Jett tweeted it years ago. But I do sell a lot of stock footage and things like that. But
and is it a good living? Is it? It sounds like you're self-employed, but you're able to make your way doing this. Very nice.
Yeah,
awesome.
It's been since 96. Like I said, the video flyer, video toaster days.
Wow.
And I'm loving it. So, I switched over to Windows 10, and here's the frustrating thing that's happening. So. Every time I turn the computer to sleep, every time I turn it off, when I go to turn it back on, it takes about 8 to 10 minutes to restart.
That's ridiculous.
And sometimes I see the machine actually say, scanning C drive integrity, repairing C drive. But no matter what, I hit sleep, turn off anything, that thing I'm waiting 10 minutes in the morning to start my work. And it seems like it progressively gets longer and longer.
So here's the irony. Here's the irony of this. You have to turn off fast start because it's making you start slow. Do you have solid state drives in that thing? Of course you do.
It's an M.2, yeah.
Yeah. So this is actually.
How do I do that?
It's pretty easy to do. The idea of this is exactly what you don't want to do with an SSD. There's two things I always turn off. One is fast start, and one is hibernate. It could be hibernated as well, but I think it's fast start. And with fast start enabled, you're actually not shutting down. It's a mix between shutdown and hibernation. It uses a hibernation file. But the problem is it works fine with hard drives, but solid state drives, nah. And so the way to disable it is if you just hit the Windows key. This is a great shortcut. Everybody using Windows should know about it. And type power options, or at least start typing it. You'll get right to the power options control panel. And I think it is in choose what the power buttons do. Okay, and then change settings that are currently unavailable.
Oh.
Microsoft should be shot for this. No, that's cruel.
I'll write that one down. Okay.
Microsoft should be bonked over the head with a rubber mallet for this, because what the heck? Change settings that are currently unavailable. What? And then you can turn fast startup off. In fact, it's recommended that you leave it on. That's wrong. I turn it off on all machines. First thing I do when I set up a Windows machine. I think that'll fix this problem.
Yeah, I mean,
the problem is it's not shutting down properly for your SSDs. That's why it's checking the drive when it comes back on.
Gotcha. Okay, that makes sense.
Yep.
I mean, is this going to keep getting worse for using a Windows machine for work? I mean, should I?
Yeah. Okay, I'm prejudiced. I'm going to try not to be snarky here. Part of the problem, in my opinion, there's several problems. First of all, Windows is old. It's been around a long time. And Microsoft, unfortunately, unlike the Mac, is very reluctant to cut off older software. There's so many business users who are using 20-year-old programs, so they have this millstone around their neck called legacy software. It makes it very hard for them to update Windows to anything more modern. So they're kind of stuck in this primitive thing. And it adds to the fact, in fact, every version of Windows that comes out has thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands of lines of code specific to a single product where they say, oh, if it's this product, don't do that. All of this with one purpose, to keep legacy software running. Okay, that's their business. The other problem I see is a longer-term problem, which is that Microsoft has moved away from selling Windows as a product. I think in the long run, they see their future in the cloud. And what they're probably going to do, and it's going to start in 2021, Windows Virtual Desktop, Windows as a service running off the cloud computer, which you will prefer because all these problems go away because Microsoft maintains it. Microsoft patches it. Microsoft makes sure the settings work for your system. And you're basically streaming Windows like you stream a Netflix movie or, nowadays, a video game on Stadia or GeForce Now or Microsoft's xCloud. Yeah. This is the beginning of gaming on your Mac, by the way, or on your TV or on your Android device. Pretty soon, a lot of the gaming that you do will be streamed, not playing directly on your hardware. So that's another reason you're not going to need Windows going forward. It's not going to be that important, I don't think.
And would you think it'd be better just to get a Mac, save it for work, a PC gaming?
Yeah, although, like I said, I think increasing, yes. Yes, that's expensive. Okay. That's a privileged position. But if you can afford it, and they are cheap. The good news about PCs, the reasons they still sell a lot of them is they're very, very cheap. Which also contributes to the lack of reliability and so forth, because you're getting, when you get less expensive hardware, there's some sacrifices being made. So all of that adds up.
I had less problems with my Amiga 4000 back in the 90s.
Yeah. Well, it was, to be fair, it was a lot simpler those days. Everything was a lot easier. Wow, did you have that bouncing ball, the checkered ball?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
The bouncing ball, the big giant hard drive. It was looked like a football.
The teapot. Yeah. Yep. Those were the days, my friends. We've come a long way, and any Windows PC, especially Windows 10, is 100 times better than the old computers of the old days. They're more reliable, they're a lot faster, and they can do a lot more. But
Do you remember Kiki Stockhammer?
I'm a good friend of Kiki's. Kiki's is the best. She is the best in her leather cat suits demonstrating the new tech video toaster. I love that stuff. Hey, I got to run. Pleasure talking to you. Have a great day.
Thanks so much.
Take care. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the tech guy. Time to talk computers and the internet and home theater and digital photography and smartphones and smart watches and all that jazz. 8888 Ask Leo. And by the way, I am here to help you if you want to buy a geek gift for the geek in your family. I can make recommendations for that as well. I think a lot of people like to do the holiday gift guide. I'm sure you've seen it on your local news and so forth. And there's so many things. I hate to just even do that. I've done it for years. Maybe that's one of the reasons. I used to do it all the time on other people's shows. Kind of my take on this is better not buy a geek a gift unless you really know what that geek is looking for. It's a risky thing to do. And the worst thing in the world, you're sitting under the Hanukkah bush or the Christmas tree or whatever, and you, honey, I got you something. And honey goes, oh, really? Oh, yeah, I knew you wanted this. Oh, that's so exciting. What is it? It's a Sony Walkman. Oh, they didn't have iPods, huh? You know, that kind of thing. Oh, you don't want that look. Oh, that's great. Thank you. Oh. So if you got to be careful. If you're buying a geek a gift, they know what they want. You got to really ask them. You got to ask them questions. You got to do some sleuthing. And Dr. Mom also says, one big suggestion, she's in our chat room, never ever buy your wife a frying pan unless you want a concussion. Yeah, kind of like that. Oh, so nice. You gave me a vacuum cleaner. Jerry in Hatfield, Pennsylvania. Hey, Jerry. Leo.
Hey, Leo. I got two things real quick. First of all, I think I know what kind of music you like.
Oh, you do? How do you know? How can you tell?
Well, I listen to it. And if you have any kind of pool with Lady Laura.
I do. I know her, you know.
This Christmas by Donny Hathaway.
Donny Hathaway. You know, that sounds like a Professor Laura pick for sure.
Christmas.
Keep listening.
Leo?
Yeah.
Number two, that FCC ruling, is that going to apply to people who have their own satellite receiver and recorder?
Oh, that's interesting. Only if you're being charged rent.
I am $7 a month
and you have your own. And they're charged. Yeah, I would bet it would apply, but you'll have to check the law. It's kind of specifically towards cable. So the satellite, you know how this works. They write a law, and then all the different industry lobbyists come over and say, well, you want to exempt satellite because we got a reason. I don't know what it is. We got a really good reason. And the member of Congress goes, well, I don't know. Well, how about a contribution to your campaign? Oh, yeah, I think we should write that out. So who knows?
My bill, and I got my bill today, and the $7 charge was on it.
That's so infuriating because they're charging you rent for something you bought and use.
Right.
That should be illegal. I don't know if this specific bill changed that. So, I'll tell you what you can look for. Let me see. I'll find I think we put the Ars Technica article in the show notes, but if we didn't, I will get this. But this is this was a big deal. Cable companies add, according to Consumer Reports, on average of $450 in hidden fees to your TV bill. This is something they really had to do something about. Yeah, it says cable and satellite. So it looks like it will affect your cable and satellite. So that's good news. I'm just looking. This is it was signed into law this last year, the Television Viewer Protection Act of 2019. And so cable and satellite TV operators will have to disclose the full price of their service. And providers, and I guess this includes your satellite provider, are forbidden from charging customers to rent equipment they don't use, such as charging to rent a router or modem when customers choose to use their own equipment. I would bet this would apply.
Fantastic. And don't forget that bumper music, Leo. I think you'll like
Donny Hathaway, baby. You got that, Professor? Yeah, Professor Laura she just headed back to the music library. She's going to search through the stacks and see if she can find that album.
I think you'll like it a lot.
Hey, I appreciate it. I don't know that song, so thank you, Jerry.
All right.
Have a happy holiday. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Let's see. Dale's on the line from Palmdale, California. Hi, Dale.
Hi, how you doing, Leo?
I'm well. How are you?
Doing really good. I listen to your show quite often, and I was curious as to you had a software company that, like if I've got an idea and I need some software programming done, and as to who it is.
So you have an idea for an app that you would need for business, or maybe that you want to sell, and you want to hire a programmer to write it for you?
I'm sorry, what was that?
So you're saying you have an idea for an app or a program that either you want to use for your business or that you want to sell yourself, and you want to hire a programmer to write it for you?
Yeah, I want to hire a programmer to actually write a software. I got a hardware right now that converts 2D to 3D.
Oh.
And what I want to do is get somebody that can do, instead of it actually having a box, something that you can put either on your computer, download it, and maybe even put it on, like a VR gear or something like that.
So you bought something that does it in hardware, but you want to do it in software?
No, actually, I'm in contact with one of the guys that was on your program, and he wants to take his box and he wants to put it make it into software.
Yeah.
So that he can, instead of having hardware.
Right. Why do hardware? A lot of times nowadays, computers, general purpose computers, are so fast that they can do some of the things that purpose-built hardware does as well, or sometimes even better. So that's certainly an area that you could try. So there are places you can go to hire programmers. I can tell you right now, there are all sorts of, caveats and things to be aware of. And I'll just point you to a guy named, I think his name is Mark Zuckerberg. He was a Harvard freshman, and he thought, he was a pretty good programmer, and he thought maybe I'll make some money on the side writing software. And these two guys named Winklevoss, I'm not kidding, I'm not making this up, called Winklevoss, decided to hire him to write. If you go to college, sometimes when you're in the freshman class, they make these things, they call them Facebooks, where the faces of all the freshmen and their names and their room and stuff, so you can get to know your class, right? And the Winklevosses, they were twins. They were rowers, actually. This is at Harvard University. The Winklevosses thought, what if we made this in software, because the internet was just starting. It was early days of the internet, not that early. It was the early 2000s. The internet had been around, but they thought Harvard prints these books out. Wouldn't it be cool if we just did it online? We made it software. What do you need the book for? So Cameron and Tyler, that was their names. They found this young freshman at Harvard, Mark Zuckerman, and they said, "Hey, Mark, would you write this for us?" And he did. But then he had an idea. He said, "I'm going to steal this." I don't think that was his idea. But he said, this is a good idea. Maybe I won't give it to Cameron and Tyler. Maybe I'll just do this myself. And the Facebook was born. As you probably know, the Winklevoss twins sued him and settled. We don't know how much money they got. I think it was a lot, because they now invest in Bitcoin. Which, I think they probably got a lot of money. And Mark Zuckerberg went on to fame and fortune. That's always the risk. You've got a great idea. So you want an ironclad contract. You want to make sure that you can get ripped off in other ways. I'll give you another story. I always thought for our podcast network, we should have an application. So we hired a team of programmers. Actually, it was a U.S. company, but I think they were using programmers in India, which is not uncommon. There are a lot of very talented programmers who are fairly inexpensive. And we were going to have them write an iOS and Android app. And, long story short, $70,000 later, there was nothing I would even consider putting my name on. It was terrible. We're out all that money. We don't have an app. That also can happen. So there are a number of companies that will do this. Upwork would probably the best known. UPWORK. You can hire programmers there. I don't know. Here's the problem when you've got an invention. This always happens. You've got a great idea, and there's some nervousness of, do I tell somebody? Are they going to steal it? On the other hand, if you don't have the skills yourself to create it, you're kind of stuck. Most of the time when people come to me with brilliant ideas, I say the brilliant idea is not the key. Everybody has brilliant ideas. You have brilliant ideas. I have brilliant ideas all the time. Ideas are a dime a dozen. You know what makes money? The implementation. And so the Winklevoss twins had an idea, but they didn't know how to do it. So they hired a guy, and the guy said, why am I writing this for the Winklevoss twins? I know how, not only do I know how to do it, I could probably do it better. I'm going to do it. The advantage is always in the court of the people who know how to do it. It isn't the idea, it's making the idea come true that is the real skill. So I just would caution anybody who has a, billion-dollar idea. Ideas are a dime a dozen. Really, it's all about making it happen. That's where you make the money. And it's a roller coaster ride. Let me tell you, I know a lot of startup founders. I know many who have lost their shirts. Many, many more than have, made that billion-dollar unicorn company. Many, many more. It's hard to gauge whether there'll be a market for something. It costs money, even if it's just software to create something, even if it's just your time. You got a day job and you're working at night creating this thing. You have no idea. There's no way of knowing ahead of time if this will be catch on, if it'll be a hit. And worse, you might have a brilliant idea. You might have an idea that's so great and you put out an app and people love it and they just think, oh, this is the best thing ever. And then along comes a Microsoft or an Apple or a Google or a Facebook and they say, that's a good idea, we're going to do it. And suddenly your big app is not so valuable as it used to be. It's a tough world. It's a tough world out there. I think I hear from people all the time and say, I've got a brilliant idea. This is $1 million idea. It's not $1 million idea until you make it. And if you have to get somebody else to make it, I would submit it's not $1 million idea. That's why it's a good thing to learn how to code. It's a good thing to learn how to build, a good thing to learn how to make. It is very difficult to get from idea to success. And there's a big part right in the middle there. Making the thing happen. That's the real skill. A little too much eggnog, yeah? Professor Laura spinning our discs, 8888 Ask Leo. The phone number if you want to talk high tech. I'd love to talk high tech with you, 8888 Ask Leo. Al, Columbia, South Carolina. Hello, Al. Al? Hello, Al.
Hello.
Hey, there we go.
Hello.
Hello, welcome to the show.
My audio switched over to something else.
I hate it. Bluetooth does that all the time. It drives me nuts. I hate that.
Leo, thank you for being there.
Well, thank you. I'm glad I can. Appreciate your listening.
I've got a MacBook 2015 with 250 gigabytes, and I don't have enough space to upload Big Sur.
Yeah. Big Sur's big. 256 gigs used to be like, wow, that's a lot of storage. Now it's kind of the lowest amount of storage you should even consider, but you should be able to install Big Sur. I think what you're going to have to do is get an external drive and copy anything you can off of that main drive, install Big Sur, and then restore it. Because it's only in the installation that it needs the space. Once it's done, you'll be okay. Worst case, what you could do, and this isn't a bad idea, is to use a program like Carbon Copy Cloner or Super Duper to make an exact copy. In fact, I would do this, of your internal drive. In fact, both of them will make a bootable copy on anything but Big Sur. They'll make a bootable copy, which means you can check and make sure it's okay by rebooting the MacBook, holding down the Option key, and launching the operating system from the external drive, from the backup instead of the original. See if everything's working. That's good. So now you got a perfect backup of it. And you could actually start from scratch. You could put Big Sur on there and erase the old internal drive, put Big Sur on there, and then restore your data that way too. So there's lots of ways to do it. I think it all starts with getting an external drive. And, as long as you're going to do that, they're not expensive anymore. You can get a terabyte drive for under $100, well under $100. I would probably get a terabyte. And, the easiest thing to do is just put your home directory on there. Move it. You can even tell macOS, use my external drive as a home directory. That'll get every document, everything you've got in there, all the stuff you've added since you installed the operating system originally. And then you'd be able to easily install Big Sur. Is it worth it is the question. Honestly, with an older Mac, I might be slow to jump on Big Sur. I'm thinking Big Sur isn't the best thing Apple's ever done. Catalina is probably, good enough. So if you're up to Catalina, I wouldn't feel any urgency to do it. Oh, another way to do it, thank you, Tokyo Tony in the chat room reminds me, you can use Apple's own backup system. What was I thinking? Get an external drive, plug it in, Time Machine will say, oh, do you want me to use this? And you say, yes, please. And it'll give it some time because it takes a while to back up the whole drive to the Time Machine drive. But then you can erase the drive, install Big Sur, and restore from Time Machine. That's Apple's own way of doing it, and that's fine too. There are a lot of ways to get this done. Basically, buy more storage is the answer. Frederick in Orange County, California. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Frederick.
Hey, Leo. How are you? Thanks for taking my call.
I'm great.
Hear me okay?
Yeah.
Hey, I have a question that's been nagging me for some time, and I hope I don't come off sounding like a Luddite, but what I really want to do here is create a central repository for all our photos that serves as both a permanent archive and...
I love this idea. And I hear the music, and I want to help you. You hang on. I will show you how to do that, but we got to take a little break. When we come back, hang on the line, Frederick. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. This is on my private railroad car, right? All aboard. We're taking the Express out of 2020. Professor Laura. She says, can I be the DJ on your private railroad car? Yes, you can. 8888. Ask Leo the phone number. We were talking, sorry to Frederick to have to put you on hold again. We were talking with Frederick in Orange about Orange County, about his goals, his dreams, his hopes, his fears, his aspirations to take all of his photos and put them in one gosh darn place. Is that right?
Well, I just want to clarify that it's all the family's photos, and I have
everybody's
and a wife that are all. That's the challenge. Is 4 phones, a couple of cameras, and then just to give you some context, we started going digital back in 2006, and I've run through 2 Macs and. Running out of storage, and now with iCloud and everybody's different accounts and everything, it's, what's a simple way to kind of bring everything together? And kind of the end goal is, just to give you a little more context, Leo's, when Apple came out with Photos in 2006, that first Mac was awesome because it was so easy to put a year in review for one of my kids or something and just print out an album, throw it on the bookshelf without constantly going back to all the digital photos. So
yeah, so that's the question is, if you want to be responsible for it all, in which case you could just gather them all together and put them in your Apple Photos and do the same thing. It may not be that easy. For one thing, they may not want to give you all their photos. They may not have the ability or figure out how to do that. And for another thing, it's only as up to date as the last time you did that, right? They're not automatically getting pumped into your photos. So there are other ways to do this that might be preferable. Generally, if you don't all have the same account, whether it's iCloud or Google or Microsoft or Dropbox, it's a little more tricky. So everybody wants to have their own Photos account separately?
Yeah, but I think in principle, the photos I'm most probably interested in are in my wife's. Just to make sure that if she takes them, I back them up.
Oh, then that's easy. Yeah. So what I would do, the first thing you should look at is Google Photos, which has many of the same features as Apple's Photos, except it's cloud-based. So, for instance, I get an update every day if Google Photos says, hey, we just made a movie of all their visits to restaurants over the last 8 years. Things like that. The same kind of things Apple Photos does, Google Photos does. The advantage of doing that is at least until June 1st, you have unlimited free storage. That's going to change. You're going to start having to pay for it, but that's, not until June 1st. So, and you can put Google Photos on your wife's phone. It will have to be logged into your Google account or a shared Google account to do this. Although she can have her own Google account, and she can, but she'll have to do this manually, share to an album. You can have a family album. This is what I was thinking initially. If you don't need to do it automatically, you can have family albums on Google Photos that everybody has upload access to. You can give upload access to anybody you want. People use this for weddings or used to, when we used to have big weddings. You'd give out an address and say, everybody upload your pictures to this. It's a shared album. Everybody can upload. Everybody can see it. It's a great way to share event photos. You could do that too, but that would require effort on your wife and other people's part. Okay. So that's another way to do it. There are ways that are a little bit more elaborate. We were talking earlier, if you don't want to put them in the cloud, for instance, we were talking earlier about Synology. They make network-attached storage, which is essentially giant storage you put in a closet and have access to from any computer in your house. Synology has a Photos app called Moments, and you could set that up on everybody's phone to automatically upload to your centralized Moments account. And the advantage of this is only you have access to it, or you can give it to them. It does some, but not all of the things Apple's Photos does with the face recognition and the events and so forth. It will automatically group photos by subject matter, by place, by people. It has some very nice sharing features. If you Google Synology Moments, you'll see what this can do. And this has the advantage of you can give everybody the ability to log into this, and even put. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. What about retroing the photos that are already on the Mac back into the
Easy. You'll put a Synology app on the Mac that will automatically copy those over. It's almost like backup of your photos.
Okay.
So this is actually getting better and better. Moments is getting smarter and smarter. And the idea is because you own the Synology, you can give everybody in your family access to it. You can even say, look, put the Moments app on your phone, turn on auto upload. Here's the account credentials to auto upload to, and their pictures will get automatically uploaded. I'm not sure you want to do that with all your family members. You might be just surprised at some of the images you get that way, but but you could do that. And you can back it up. It's kind of a backup solution, really, but it has more capabilities, more like Apple's iCloud Photos. So Google's free. Even when it starts charging June 1st, everything you upload to that point will remain free. And the charge going forward is the cost of Google's storage, which is not very expensive. So that's a good way to do it. And it uses a lot of AI to categorize and so forth. I think they do a very good job. You could do it with Apple's photos as well, but you just have to, get your wife to periodically do the uploads, unless she's sharing an account.
No, I like the idea of the network-attached storage, which kind of dovetails into a secondary question because I'm looking at upgrading my Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
And I was actually looking at the Netgear Orbi AX4200.
Love those. Yeah.
And the Linksys Velop MX4200.
I have not used the Velop, but my general impression is that the Orbis are better. I've been very happy with the Orbis. They're very fast. I should also mention Eero. Those don't focus on speed so much as network management. I think they're very good. I recently replaced my Orbeez and my Eeros. Sounds goofy, doesn't it? With Ubiquity's kind of prosumer gear. That's a much pricier solution, but we were really having all sorts of network problems in the house. And
how hard is it to attach the network attached storage to the?
Oh, no problem at all. So if you're using the Velop or the Orbeez or the Eeros, the base stations all have an extra Ethernet jack. So you could either have that going into a switch and then have many other hardwired devices, or you could just plug that extra, it has 1 or 2 extra jacks, sometimes more. You just plug that into the Synology, and now it's on the network.
Okay.
Synology, you don't want to use Wi-Fi for the Synology. You want to use hardwired.
Right. Understood.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah.
Yep.
And then I did read that if you hardwire your VLOPs, the nodes for those, you actually can get better speed performance than the Orbeez.
Well, that's true. That's true of all Wi-Fi. Hardwired's always faster, at least 30% faster than the Wi-Fi. Maybe they're saying if you hardwire the satellite units as well. Yeah. Yes. So Eero allows that with some of their devices. Orbi allows that. Absolutely. And that's what I ended up doing with Ubiquity. I have 5 access points in my house. They're all hardwired. We had somebody go up in the attic and drop Ethernet wires through the ceiling in 5 spots around the house, and they're all hardwired. And that's always going to give you the best results because the backhaul is wired. It's as fast as it can be. It's only wireless from the base station, from the base unit to the device. So that's definitely the way to go if you can. And yeah, a number of these mesh systems will support that, not all. So it's worth looking at that. The Plumes also support that. Okay.
Well, it sounds like
you got a couple of weeks time off. I think it's a good time to rewire your house. Networking 101.
Thank you very much.
My pleasure. Happy holidays. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. I bought a 48-port PoE switch for my Ubiquity. So this was basically I capitulated. It's so cool. I capitulated though because Lisa complained. I tried all different things. So finally, we got guys to come out, put Ethernet throughout the house. They went up in the attic and they dropped Ethernet everywhere. So we're hardwired at all the computer stations. And then they also dropped Ethernet out of the ceiling in 5 spots around the house, and we put Ubiquity Wi-Fi access points on all of those. Got the UDM Pro, the Ubiquity Dream Machine Pro as the base. That's the router. And then attached that to a 48-port PoE switch because power over Ethernet means that all those access points don't need power. They just need an Ethernet cable, and they're powered. Plus, my switches are all PoE, so all the switches don't have to plug into the wall. They just get powered over the network. So PoE is a very nice thing. So, and I didn't really need 48 ports. I probably could have got by with 24, but I thought, I want room to grow. Hello, Dick DeBartolo.
Leo, how you doing, pal?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm good. I'm very good.
How's life?
Kind of boring. nothing thrilling.
Nothing thrilling.
No, I heard you talking to Johnny Jet. I did go on, I guess, a private plane. Once I flew on Mickey 1.
Mickey 1? Was that Walt Disney's personal jet? No.
Yes. Yeah.
But that was probably a 737 or something.
No, it was for 12 people.
Oh, it was small.
Yeah, it was very small. It was very small.
Well, one of our chatters was able to travel on a G7, which is a very nice Rockwell private jet.
Is that your new plan now, to buy a plane and do the podcast in flight?
No. I am going to get a private railroad car.
Oh, that'd be great.
Wouldn't that be cool?
Yes.
If I had enough money, it's not that expensive. So Johnny was telling me it's $3 a mile for towage. Amtrak charges you. That's not bad.
Okay. No.
And then it's $1,500 a month to park it.
Okay. And how much is the car?
Oh, the car is between $250,000. It's like buying a trawler.
Oh.
Basically.
Okay. And where's the nearest railroad track?
Well, it'd probably be Emeryville. That's the Amtrak station.
Oh.
So let me see.
You
Private
keep
railroad
it on
cars.
siding there.
Yeah, you have $1,500 a month to park. It's probably a little more complicated than I want. Let me see. Privately owned rail cars. Let me look. Let me just see for sale. Okay. Rail Merchants International sells full-sized railroad cars. Oh, look at that. You know what? I should show you this. You'd love this. Oh, we could just have, we get the smart trains over here. I wonder if they join up to Amtrak. That'd be great.
Probably.
No.
You could just say, can you drop it off at the studio?
Yeah. I have to build my own track. Let's see. Private rail cars, a price guide. No, that's for rental. I don't want to rent it. I want to own.
Oh, wow. Put the studio on it. It's a tax write-off.
Railmerchants.net. Well, that's what I was going to do.
Oh,
this is my new plan for the studio.
This is great.
Yeah, look.
Nice. That's the kind of car Bill rented with the. I think it's called a drum in the back.
Yeah.
You'd have the logo on the. You want the one with the drum so you can have the logo on it.
Oh, look at that. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. We're going to turn this into a disco, my private railroad car, Dick. We'll just put a disco ball. It'll be just like your houseboat, only on rails.
Perfect. I like it.
It is Christmas disco time with Dick DeBartolo, Mad's maddest writer, and our gizmo wizard. Is that the tree you got behind you?
Yeah.
Tell us the story of the electric Christmas tree.
My little fiber optic tree is from the movie Pride and Joy, or Pride and...
It's not a well-remembered movie.
No. It was in 2001 that they shot it. In July, they shot this movie that had a Christmas scene in it. And Ed Norton is supposed to be living at the marina. And on New Year's Eve, he's standing on the back of his boat, longingly looking over at this party boat with this fiber optic Christmas tree in the window and people drinking champagne. And that is my houseboat, which they decorated for Christmas in July.
Of course.
And then it was great. I mean, I made $500, and I said, can I be in it? And they said, oh, you can be one of the drinkers. We'll start at 7 o'clock. And then at 7, they said, it'll be 9 o'clock. And then at 9, they called and said, it'll be midnight.
Oh, my gosh.
I said to a friend of mine, you want to make $100? Just stay in my boat all night and make sure no one takes anything.
Oh, that's hysterical.
And the next day, they showed up at 3 in the morning for the shoot. So
wow!
But when they were done, the next day they called. They said, "Listen, we're coming to anything you want. Please keep. It's less for us to cart away." And I said, "Can I have the fiber optic Christmas tree?" They said, "Please."
So the movie is not particularly well remembered, but the tree lives on.
The tree lives on, and the tree has been relit with LED light bulbs at the bottom.
Isn't that sad? The fiber optics, that seemed like the state of the art at the time.
Yeah.
Now it's kind of old school.
Well, it was the halogen bulb that was old school. So the tree's the same, the lighting's different.
That's LEDs now.
Yeah.
So you join us every week to share a gadget or a gizmo. What do you got this week?
It was a couple of weeks ago you were talking to a listener, and you were saying, well, when you're a nerd, you have transformer plugs, you might have them in a drawer, you might even have a shoebox full of them. I said to Dennis, I have 2 crates full of them.
Yeah, you rent a storage locker just for them.
Yes, exactly. So what I keep handy is a voltage plug that can turn into you can use it with any voltage. And I found a new one on Amazon because you were saying to the guy, not only do you need to know the wattage and the voltage, you have to know the polarity and the pin size. So I found this little kit. It is from a company called ProTech Trader. So it's a 30-watt universal power supply. It comes with 8 different plugs.
This could power anything you want.
Anything. And Leo, the great thing is, if the polarity is wrong, you take out the little tip, turn it 180 degrees, put it back in, and you've reversed the polarity. They've also put in, it's only a 5-volt, 1-amp charger, but the plug itself has a USB out on it. So you can also use it to charge a device.
Now, you probably wouldn't want to charge a laptop with 30 watts. It would take forever.
Not at all.
But this will power most things.
Yeah, you know, my little fireplace, just for laughs, I thought, well, suppose I lost the cable. So I hooked this thing to the little fireplace. It didn't light. I go, wait a minute, polarity must be wrong. Took the little guy out, plugged it in the opposite way. Fireplace came on. It's been running fine. So it's a simple way to pretty much power any little gadget that you have without running through boxes and boxes of those transformer
Very
plugs.
Nice. Very nice.
And it's $16.
By the way, we're getting now the reviews on Pride and Glory. The reviewers loved the party scene in the Christmas boat.
Oh, really? Oh, good.
Yeah, apparently it's on Rotten Tomatoes, 2008. And people like it, critics didn't. Which is not an unusual thing.
No, it is not.
Yeah, critics sometimes have 35% on the Rotten Tomatoes tomato meter.
Whoa.
But the audience score, a whopping 49%.
Oh, okay.
The critics said formulaic in its plotting, cliched in its dialogue, Pride and Glory does little to distinguish itself from other police procedurals, but you got to check out the fiber optic Christmas tree in the houseboat
that's
the window.
The New York Times said, too.
That's right. Yeah. All right, so if you want to find this ProTech Trader 30-watt universal power supply with reversible polarity for under $18,
wow.
The link is on Dick's website, as are all the links to all the devices he talks about, not only just on this show, but on ABC's World News Now and elsewhere. It's gizwiz.biz, GIZWIZ.biz. And while you're there, play the What the Heck Is It contest. You'll have till the end of the month to win an autographed copy of Mad Magazine, autographed by this guy right here. There's also other things that you might want to check out. It might be a little late to get it for Christmas.
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably, yeah. What are you doing for Christmas? You going railroad car shopping?
Yeah, I decided I'm going to, honey, I want a private railroad car for Christmas. You think it'll work?
I can get you one in HO scale.
Yeah. I was just trying to upgrade your hobby, that's all. Dick DeBartolo, hey, what are you doing? Are you going to have a good holiday?
Boy, we're just staying here.
You're going to have a white Christmas. Didn't it snow yesterday?
Oh, my gosh. We had, let's see, my railroad is under 13 inches of snow. Yeah, we had a lot of snow.
Now, the problem in New York City is a week is a long time for snowfall to survive.
You know what? It is not going above freezing until tomorrow. So pretty much it's all there.
That's nice. I love it when it snows in the city.
Oh, it's great. Yeah. Dennis loves it too. It's super.
Does he go out and do snow angels in front of the apartment?
He does snow devils. I'm not quite sure about it. I never wanted to ask about it because in case it was something dark and mysterious.
Dick has a great podcast too at gizwiz.tv. Dick, I won't talk to you again before 2021. This is it. We're taking the train out of here.
Okay.
We're ending the year.
Have a super holiday.
All right.
And I look forward to working with you in all of 2021.
As do I. Dick DeBartolo. Again, gizwiz, GIZWIZ.biz. Thank you, Dickie D.
Thank you, sir.
Have a great holiday. My deepest thanks to Professor Laura. We got to get that Donny Hathaway song next time, okay? It's only going to have a few more chances to to play the Christmas music. She seems to be resistant somehow. Thanks. I don't know what's going on with Lady Laura. Thanks also to Kim Schaffer, our phone angel, for answering the phones, doing such a great job. Thanks most of all, though, to you for joining me. I hope you're going to have a nice holiday. Stay safe. Hunker down. Bundle up. Get cozy. The light is at the end of the tunnel, and the year is almost done. What a year this has been. I am Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy. Don't forget, everything we talk about on the show is available at the website, techguylabs.com. And there's no charge to use that, so feel free to use it, search, and find the answers you need. Have a great Geek Week. We'll see you next time. Well, that's it for the Tech Guy Show for today. Thank you so much for being here. And don't forget, TWiT, TWiT. It stands for This Week in Tech, and you'll find it at twit.tv, including the podcasts for this show. We talk about Windows on Windows Weekly, Macintosh on MacBreak Weekly, iPads, iPhones, Apple Watches on iOS Today, security on Security Now. I mean, I can go on and on and on. And, of course, the big show every Sunday afternoon, This Week in Tech. You'll find it all at twit.tv. And I'll be back next week with another great Tech Guys show. Thanks for joining me. We'll see you next time.